of our community members, of which, by the way, your school board is also a part of your community. And we are here to do the best we can for our kids. Whether you believe that or not is of no significance. It's up to you whether you believe that or not. But we will not be insulted because we don't really need to be. We are asking you here tonight so that you can make your points and that you can let your feelings be heard. We want that to happen. We ask for that to happen. But nobody needs to be insulted. It's not necessary. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. McCoy. Mr. Carbonaro? Thank you, Mr. Carbonaro.
People in this audience know that I did not say one thing that's insulting.
I was insulted personally.
A 7% increase on the backs of these people is insulting.
Okay, but the community voted that down, and so now we have to see where we're going forward. We are asking for where we are going to go forward from now on. The 7% increase failed. So now the next step is to see what the tax cap will be now. And that's what we're looking at. That's what we're here to talk about this evening. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Carbonaro.
Richard Carbonaro, Stanton Avenue. We've all been through this. This Board of Education, the administration. If you are asking, as Mr. Scannell laid out that laundry list of cuts to our children, and I'm the father of 4 children that went through this district, and they're all successful. I have a lawyer, a doctor, and 2 police officers. But they also went through this district some years ago and met their successes afterwards. What I really want to get across to everybody, both the administration and the school board and the public, is that we cannot afford to do this any longer. And if the district is asking us to tighten our belts to the point where we can't breathe, and we don't have money to put food on the table because of the burgeoning budget that is upon us, then the school district and the administration need to pull in their belt and pare down the administration in this district. It is overburdening. And I respect the school board. They think I'm an adversary. I would vote very readily for a budget that is in line, standard increases, everything goes up, we know that. If the administration was cooperating with the town. This is a bedroom community, and it means we don't have any industry in Baldwin. 96% of the people who live in this town leave this town on a daily basis to go to work. We are not a Rockville Center that has a $100 million industries, commercial enterprise going on their tax base. We don't have the high-end income that Rockville Center has. We are a blue-collar, working, bedroom community. People in this town are now forced, if they want to stay, to work 2 jobs and sometimes 3. That's why we have light turnouts at board meetings and things like that, because people work swing shifts and night shifts. We need the administration to cooperate with the town and listen to our needs. This budget was voted down for a reason. We were speaking up, and for the administration to turn around and hire another superintendent is a slap in our face, an insult to our intelligence. Now, I realize that the Board of Education is working at no pay. They have a thankless job, but they also must draw the line in the sand and tell the administration, no, we cannot do this. We just cannot afford to do this at this time. Everybody wants a Cadillac, but a lot of us have to settle for Chevrolets and Volkswagens. Thank you.
I'm
I'm sorry to interrupt you, ma'am, before you started, but I feel like I bring this up at every meeting. I would like to remind everybody in the audience that our per pupil administrative costs are in the bottom 5 of the 56 school districts in Nassau County, meaning there are 50 plus school districts that pay more per pupil in administrative costs. So, just so you know, proportionally compared to the rest of Nassau County, we are very, very low in administrative costs.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. My name is Susan Wilmer, and my comments are directed toward the administration. I feel you should be in a position of trust, that we should be able as taxpayers to trust you to come up with a budget that would guarantee a quality education for all our children, but also to do it in the most fiscally conservative manner that you can. Well, you betrayed that trust by giving us this budget that would require a 7% increase. And when that was defeated, you came back to us last night with a budget that stays within the cap by magically eliminating items that would have a minimum effect on our children's education. Why didn't you do that first? That should have been the budget presented to this community. That's what we could afford. But no, I think your idea is let's see what we can get away with. And guess what? The message here is not only to cut the administration, you hear that all over, but it's also to look at line items and cut some of those. And we don't need a superintendent of curriculum. We do have department heads all over the place, and I'm sure that that one person up there is not overseeing everybody's curriculum. The department heads are doing that and looking at it. That's all.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. Darrell Davis, Verity Lane. I'd first like to address the board. As you've heard from everyone who came before me, except for maybe the exception of one person, the community is in outrage over this budget because they cannot afford it. That's what they're telling you. They cannot afford it. But what we cannot afford is to shortchange our children, to give them a lesser education than the children that came before them, to give them a lesser education than every other community in Nassau and Suffolk County. We cannot afford to fail our children on this. I feel their pain. We're all members of the community. There's no way I could look at this man and say, you can afford another $500. I can't force him to do that. And I won't stand here and try and change his position, because he has a valid point. And when they talk about administrative costs and how they want you to pare down, that argument for their side is 100% valid. But for you, if you have prepared this budget and you say that it has to pierce the cap in order for our children to get the quality education that they are entitled to and that they deserve, then you must do a better job in educating all of us as to what you're spending, how you're spending, and if you don't spend this amount, we will lose not only programs, but precious teachers. Teachers in the classroom. All we've heard from this side, very valid, is they don't want to shortchange the children, but they can't afford this budget. They want you to cut administrative costs. But the end result of you not passing the budget, was not going forward with this, is that we will lose teachers and we will lose programs. So please, educate us and inform us. I was at the meeting yesterday as the board talked about these huge issues, and Mr. Scannell, thank you very much, very informative. And I'm glad that the 3.14 can preserve the kindergarten, But that's just a kindergarten we're going to preserve. Wonderful goal met. But we need to take it that step further. And you ask yourselves, amongst yourselves, well, how much did we lose the vote by? This vote, your budget-piercing cap, required just 151 more parents to vote for that budget and to make it pass. Now, my friend Ralph Reed, who I just met, Ralph Rolls, who I just met, I want to say I have no animus towards him, but I really don't, because he's an involved community citizen and he has a valid point. But he drove around in a truck and he's also co-president of the Chamber of Commerce. Now, when you have the co-president of the Chamber of Commerce driving around in his big giant pickup truck with Vote No, Stop the Outrageous Spending, and then you, the board, doesn't inform the parents as to how we need to counter that and that we need to spend this money, you're going to have a turnout that Mr. Rose turned out. Every single year, there's going to be approximately 700 to 800 people in this community who are going to say, I don't care what you do, whether you increase my taxes by $500 or $100, I cannot afford it. That's going to be their argument, and it's valid. But this time, Mr. Rose turned out 1,500 votes.
That's power.
1,500, that's power. 1,500 votes. They increased the number of people voting against the school budget by 100%. Ordinarily, when we pass our budgets by 50%, by the majorities that we usually do, it's 1,400 parents, whoever comes out and says, yes, we support the vote. This time, in this dire time when you said we need to pierce this cap and get a supermajority, and we have the president of the Chamber of Commerce whipping up the community saying, look, we cannot afford the spending, we only turned out 1,958 to vote yes. If you do a better job at letting us know how important these programs are, if you put it out there in the public so that we can mull it about, see what it's going to cost us and what it will cost us if it does not happen, we can definitely do better than 1,958. Yeah. So to answer your question yesterday, how many votes do we need? We needed 150 people to stand up and say, I need my kid to get the education that Mr. Cabineri's children got, and every other parent in this school district before this budget came along. So please, whatever you do, I heard the trepidation yesterday about how much we're going to lose if we fail twice. If we fail twice. And that was a bitter pill for you to swallow that it did not happen. But I have to castigate you and say, you did not